My wife Sue and I have never spent much time in Scarborough over the years, but when we do visit, things seem to happen. This story starts in the seaside town a few years ago when Sue had decided to enter the Yorkshire Sportive, a gruelling 50-mile bike ride around the hills and yet more hills of that part of North Yorkshire. I opted not to enter for the sake of my health and my sanity and walked the town and drank coffee while Sue cycled. The evening before the event, we walked out of our very retro hotel to find food. As we were where we were, fish and chips was the chosen fare, and we found a suitably fine local restaurant which served the delicacy. Once seated, we were presented with two menus, one a little pricier and more extensive than the other. Fish and chips were on both. A young lady waitress came to take our order, and I asked quite naturally what the difference was between the fish and chips on one menu compared with the same offering on the other. She looked somewhat puzzled by the question, or at least that was what I thought. No, she was thinking, and a little later her words of explanation tumbled out in a rush once she had them all in her head. The fish and chips on the cheaper menu is less more. She knew what she wanted to say, but the correct words hadn't quite aligned themselves in her head, and less more came out. I asked if less more meant smaller, and she looked relieved and she quickly agreed with me. Yes, that's right, smaller. Much smiling and nodding of heads ensued. The reason I mentioned this little episode is not to make fun of the young lady in question, but more as an example of the tricks the brain can play sometimes. We had another recently which made us shriek with laughter. We'd been asked to stay with eldest son and mind his two young daughters for a week whilst his wife went to Canada for the wedding of a lifetime best friend. This would be hard work for two older people, even though we know the children in question to be as settled and compliant as one could reasonably expect in children of that age. And so it proved. It was full on, but we made it through to the end of the week, by which time Mum had returned to the nest. Whilst eating our entirely coincidental fish and chip supper, Mum remarked that the 6-year-old had dirty marks on her face. Wife Sue came up with the answer straight away, as she knew exactly why the marks were there. She'd actually been drawing with some multicoloured pens. Alas, her brain played a similar trick to that which afflicted the young lady in Scarborough. The drawing word would not come, and doing pen came out instead, which provoked instant merriment, and will make sure that it won't be forgotten in a hurry. Sue is always quick-witted and never stuck for a word, but in a way it's quite a relief for me, who is more often stuck for les mots justes, quite a relief to know that no one is infallible. Isolated moments of brain fart, undoubtedly as a result of overtiredness, can result in moments of mirth to no one's disadvantage. Long live slip-ups and being very human beings.